Okay, this is an article here from the Black Wall Street Times. Access is the new civil right. Effing Enna. Well, you can fit that in there. Well, last words. Ahmaud Arbery heard. This is the guy black guy in the state of Georgia who was a jogger shot to death by three white men who used a law that came into effect around, I believe, 1865, right? During the time of Reconstruction, after the American Civil War. These laws were really designed to persecute, harass black people. So it allowed people to do what they call a citizen's arrest, but based on like felonies. So let's see here. In this 2012 photo provided by Yolanda Richardson of what's that? Fuzzy Rabbit Photos, Ahmaud Arbery poses for a senior photo on St. Andrews Beach, Jekyll Island, Georgia. Arbery was killed February 23rd, 2020, after a pursuit by a white father and son who armed themselves and gave chase after seeing the 25-year-old black man running in their subdivision. This is Brunswick, Georgia. A state investigator testified Thursday that a white man was heard saying a racist slur as he stood over Ahmaud Arbery's body moments after fatally shooting the black man with a pump-action shotgun. The inflammatory revelation came amid a week of angry nationwide protests over law enforcement biases against black victims that erupted after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. In a hearing to determine whether there was enough evidence to proceed with a murder trial, the lead Georgia Bureau of Investigation agent in the case testified that Travis and Greg McMichael and a third man in another pickup, William Roddy Bryan, used their trucks to chase down and box in Arbery, who repeatedly reversed directions and ran into a ditch while trying to escape. Travis McMichael then got out of his truck and confronted Arbery, later telling police he shot him in self-defense after Arbery refused his order to get on the ground. Now imagine that. You have three men, regardless whether they're white, black, coming after you. Worse if, let's say, it was a white man jogging and three black men were coming after them, right? After him. Let's say three black men were coming after a white man jogging, right? You see white men jogging all the time. How many people would buy a self-defense argument? They said that white man has every reason to defend himself. Suspect that these three black people were up to no good. So you coming after me with a gun, I don't know what you about to do. I didn't take anything from you. I didn't steal your property. I didn't kill your wife or rape your wife. So why are you trying to stop me? You know? And even if I did surrender, who knows? Maybe you could shoot me. It doesn't mean because you surrender, that means that's the end of it. That's not the way it works all the time. You know? I mean, even with the police, you're not even sure these days. But at least you stand a better chance with the police if you surrender to the police than to three arbitrary black men. You have no idea what their motives are. So this is really going way beyond. Yeah, the second was to his hand, see, chest, hand, and the third hit his chest again with a shotgun before he collapsed in the road in a subdivision in the port town of Brunswick. Mr. Ryan said that after the shooting took place before police arrival, while Mr. Arbery was on the ground, that he heard Travis McMichael make the statement, "effing Inga," Dial said. Wow. So the fact that he's in a racist term, you can really kind of figure out where he's coming from. Bryan gave investigators the information roughly a week after the McMichael arrest, but there's no indication he told Glenn County investigators before that. Dials added. Lee Merritt, an attorney for Arbery's family, told reporters outside the courthouse that prosecutors had warned the family before the hearing of the coming testimony about the slur. It was still very difficult to hear in the context of the prolonged chase that after he murdered Ahmaud Arbery and stood over his body, he used that racial epithet, Merritt said. The lawyer said Thursday's testimony revealed that racism was at the heart of Arbery's slaying. Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, called the release of new details in court very, very heartbreaking. Okay. He was afraid, Cooper Jones said of her slain son. Life had placed him in a position where I couldn't protect him, and he wasn't able to protect himself. At the conclusion of the probable cause hearing Thursday, Magistrate Court Judge Wallace Harrell found that there was enough evidence for the case against all three defendants to proceed. Ahmaud Arbery was chased, hunted down, and ultimately executed at the hands of these men, prosecutor Jesse Evans told the judge. He was on a run on a public road in a public subdivision. He was defenseless and unarmed. Under questioning by Jason Sheffield, an attorney for Travis McMichael, Darrell said Travis told police he raised his shotgun at Arbery from roughly 90 feet. Wow, 90 feet away and told him to stop and get on the ground. So how can you be defending yourself if somebody doesn't even have a gun, they're not even armed, they're jogging, you have a shotgun. A shotgun is very scary, and you're about 90 feet away, and we supposed to like, wow, accept this as fact, twist our minds like pretzels, and accept the fact that you were 90 feet away and you were defending yourself. No, not in this world. Nope. That's when Arbery ran around the passenger side of Travis' truck, and the two men met in front of it. Sure, you pull a gun on me, you pull a gun on most people, they'll try to run. Especially when they never had an incident with you before. you know. Dallas said Travis told police Arbery squared up like he was going to attack. Yeah, right. You were the guy with a gun, but the guy who doesn't have a gun, who was jogging, he squared up like he's going to attack a man with a gun. I mean, come on. None of that makes sense. There's a statement that he might have had his hand on his shirt. That's that. Travis McMichael said his adrenaline was pumping and it all happened very quickly. He said Travis then fired the first shot into Arbery's chest. Hmm. You firing in somebody's chest, I mean you have to kill them. Not like that, a leg or something. Sheffield argued that the pursuit began with a legitimate concern about past crimes in the neighborhood that escalated right before the shooting. Well, you have to witness somebody engaging in a crime. you can't just you can't just pick an arbitrary person jogging down the street and say, yeah, it has to be this person who was doing the stealing. And what is the evidence anyway that all these robberies were taking place or burglaries? Travis McMichael used self-defense when he was attacked by Mr. Arbery, Sheffield said. Now they have the real gall, to turn this around. Man, turn this around. I don't think it was self-defense by Mr. McMichael, Dial said. I believe it was self-defense by Mr. Arbery. The testimony presented Thursday raises questions about the idea that the McMichaels and Bryan were legitimately carrying out a citizen's arrest of a suspected burglar. Come on, a burglar. It also could factor into a federal investigation into whether hate crime charges are warranted. Dial testified that Greg McMichael told police that he didn't know if Mr. Arbery had stolen anything or not, but he had a gut feeling that Arbery had committed prior break-ins in the neighborhood. Really. Well, you know what? There is a camera right there. It's not like the old days. These days, there's even a camera showing him standing there looking around at the construction site, and he didn't take anything. So, you know, what about all those cameras? The investigator testified that police body camera footage showed Confederate flag sticker on a toolbox in Travis's truck, and that investigators discovered at least two more racial slurs in messages on his phone. In response to questioning from Bryan's attorney, Kevin Gall, Dahl testified that he believed Bryan joined the chase because he saw a black man running down the street with a truck following and drew conclusions based on racial bias. There's evidence of Bryan's racist attitudes in his communication, Dahl said, referring to comments found on his cell phone. The investigator added that several residents of the subdivision where Arbery was killed told investigators they had seen him running in the neighborhood previously. Yeah, not every black man who runs is a thief. Some could be a jogger. Dahl said the three defendants are the only known witnesses to the shooting, and investigators have found no other video of Arbery's final moments other than what Bryan recorded. Arbery was killed February 23rd after Travis McMichael, 34, and his father Greg McMichael, 64, gave chase when they spotted the 25-year-old black man running in their neighborhood. Bryan said he saw them driving by and joined the chase. Dial said it wasn't until May 7th, 2 days after Bryan's cell phone video leaked online and stirred a national outcry, that the defendants were charged. Imagine that. So, wow, they must feel stupid having that video. The McMichaels both wore masks as they sat side by side watching the hearing on screen at the Glynn County Jail. The judge rejected defense motions to have them brought to the courtroom, citing emergency precautions because of the coronavirus pandemic. Bryan waived his presence at the hearing. Okay. So basically, I mean, this comes on to they using some old law to say you can make a citizen's arrest. But in a citizen's arrest, it has to be based on the following, and you have to witness a crime, which none of them did. And you have to actually believe your life is in danger. And if you're 90 feet away from somebody with a shotgun, there's no way that any reasonable person could accept that your life was in danger. I mean, that's really a bunch of crap. Mm? The only thing they will have going for them is if they can find one person or a couple person down in Georgia who could be bigoted, racist, or what have you, and who's willing to throw out all the evidence and who's willing to lie and get in the jury and say, yeah, they can make a decision, but in their heart they could be prejudiced or biased. That's the only Hail Mary. That's why you have 11 whites and one black in the jury. So they're looking for a Hail Mary pass. You know, they're looking for a Hail Mary pass. But not it depend. It depends on the age group because not every white person is going to be like that. There are some white people who believe in justice and fairness. However, there's some who, no matter how the evidence is, they're willing to throw it out, and that's really unfortunate.